So let's talk about the film Veins of the World by Bayambashuran Deva.
Biambasuren Davas. Yeah.
Can you say it again?
Biambasuren Davas.
Such a beautiful name. I want people to hear it. So,
but you can also normally you call her Biamba. Just
Biamba.
Biamba.
Yeah.
It's for later in the talk. It's more easy.
So, how did you get involved in the film? You're one of the producers.
Yeah, I'm one of the producers, and I know Biamba since 20 years. So, and I've worked on every film together with her. And originally, as you see, I'm a sound designer and set recordist. And so I also did the sound design and the mixing for The Story of the Weeping Camel, her first bigger film. And since then I was I think 5 times in Mongolia together with her, and spent a lot of time there, and we have a lot of common friends there. And yeah, after the last film, we recognized that a lot of things changed in Mongolia, and that the exploitation of the
I'm going to ask you about the something about that. So this is her second film, Veins of the World, second film that was Oscar nominated, correct?
It's not Oscar nominated. It was the official
submission.
Submission.
Submission to the Oscar. And the first one was The Story of the Weeping Camel, which the audience was really fond of. So
yeah,
people are familiar with her work. So did it make it easier to raise money?
Yeah, it's of course especially also in Germany, she has a name, and so it was actually it was quite easy to find funding for the film, but it wasn't that easy to find a broadcaster for it in these days, because when we started the project, it was not like Fridays for Future was not so much on the run, and like all this global crisis, which this film is, I think, a very good example for, by the global working corporations doing things against the environment. The environment. Mm-hmm. There was not that awareness of that in that days, but then we found a very good chief editor who also helped us very much on the film, and then the financing was complete, and we could start the shooting there. And
so did you go to any pitch sessions? Did you go to anything like workshop?
We went to the final cut in Venice, to the program there. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we try to establish some, because also this Story of the Weeping Camel and the Cave of the Yellow Duck was quite successful in France, and we tried to find their additional sources to finance the film. But like the core financing was all made from Germany, and we were quite lucky with a Mongolian co-producer who's also the Mongolian producer of Mongolia Got Talent. So therefrom we could we had a very good production company there, and in addition to that, we could get into the original set of Mongolia Got Talent, and got the rights from Fremantle.
Right. In in the film, the family and the village is threatened by over exploitation of mining companies. Can you talk a little bit about what are the most endangered areas environmentally in Mongolia, and what is the main reason? Is it all mining?
Like, yeah, it will be all mining. I think like
Mm,
more than there are different facts and figures about that, but it's nearly, you can dig everywhere, as long as you have money and you have the contacts there. So just to give an explanation of how the country developed in that manner, when I was there 10 years ago, it was still like this. When you were hungry and you wanted to catch a fish, you just went to the next river, and you didn't even needed a fishing rod. You just could stand in the river and throw the fish out. It was really so untouched nature. And when I went there like 5 years before the shoot, it was in that area where I was nearly like every second river or lake was dead by using chemicals to wash out the gold, which is for me one of the most insane exploitation of the environment, because 95% of the gold taken out of the earth is not needed. Just 5% is needed for medicine, for technical electronic parts, but the rest they take out and they just put it into a bank. So, and they know exactly how much gold they will find in the areas. So they just could share licenses about that and leave the gold underneath the ground. It would not make any difference. And they do it like for 1 gram of gold, there are like, I think it was 5 tons of earth that is destroyed for one
wow.
gram of it. And this is really, yeah, insane when you see it. And it's not just the destructed earth there, it's also that they have to lower the water level, the groundwater level, by 40 meters to dig deeper. So this really dries out all the nature there, and that the rivers that are the only water resources then that are available, they are poisoned. So the 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 herds of the nomads don't have any water anymore. They're really bizarre, um, uh, yeah, mutations on the animals, and yeah, and that like causing this for this greed to the way of living that we all as a educated modern society are sighing for. Because like nomads, nomads, when they move, they move 4 times a year to every sea. And when they left their place, 2 weeks later, you can't see that there was a human being living there. So their carbon footprint is definitely zero. This is what we all aiming for.
Yes.
But on the other hand, and I include myself, like having a cell phone and before the film also giving some golden jewelry as a present or something like that. We all are part of that. And this is, yeah, something that, yeah, if you're there, you really see what you're doing from here. Yeah.
Yes.
And like most of the corporations there are doing, like they are they are, of course, they are local companies, but they are owned by Canadians, by New Zealanders, by Europeans. So there's not much like that. The Mongolians are harvesting their own land. It's the international corporation just sucking out whatever they can get from the country. And yeah, and there's a statement from, I forgot his name, from the CEO of the biggest mining corporation of the world from Canada. He said, the great thing on Mongolia is it's vast. It has a lot of natural minerals and things to take out of the earth. And there are hardly no NGOs. And this is what his official statement. So this is how they act.
Oh, boys.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you about the film. Actually, in the film, Zaya, the wife. It's a very big moment when they're having a community meeting about this subject. And she really gets down to the bottom of things. She asks everybody, she asks her relations and her neighbors, who has already accepted the offer for money to move. Is that correct?
Yes.
And I wondered, what was your impression of that moment?
Yeah, like this is how it works, you know. The reality there is the companies are going to the land. They do some diggings there to see how much gold is in there, and then they go to the nomads that are close to it, that own the land, and they say, okay, if you leave today, you get $5,000. If you leave tomorrow, you get 4,000, and in 5 days you don't get anything anymore. We will dig you anyway.
But what I mean is the moment where the wife tells the truth.
Yeah.
When the men are quiet and everybody's acting normal, and then his wife tells the truth, he's quite angry with her.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is quite like, I was also part of the writing, and not as a direct writer, but always included in this. And this is something that I pretty much can project myself in. Like, I, as a man, or I don't know if we need to gender it, but I, as a person, like thinking about what can be a way, like thinking about, in Germany you say the sky castles to build, but then by thinking about that, ignoring the facts and the situation, and this is Zaya's role, and this is, but it's also a balance between both of them, because Zaya is the one who's realistic, who's taking care of the cattle, who's bringing in the money on that,
bringing in the water,
bringing like yeah, and Erdne, who is like a role model for many nomads also in the surrounding there, to continue the fight against the mining corporations. And but they both know that one can't live without the other, you know, like they need each other, and this is their strong relation. But they come to a point by the interference from outside that the way of the heroic way of looking at the things from Edna doesn't work anymore. And this is the thing where I think also in global politics, it shows us that it's mainly the women that then really, yeah, get to the core of the problem. We have the same here with our Chancellor Merkel in Germany, when there was this so-called migration crisis, and where she said, no, we will deal with it. There are people coming that need our help. And all the fear that is created around that is bullshit, because we're one human mankind. So let's do it. And this is, I think, yeah, it also stands for the hope that the society will be more feminized. I don't know if this is a word
Yes.
that you can say, because it's yeah, it's in a very, in the best sense, this taking care and seeing what the truth is, and going forward with that, and building up something
Thank
on
you.
reality.
Thank you. Beautiful answer. Thank you. Can you tell us something about the casting of the kids?
Yeah, like we went all through Mongolia and casted about like 300 boys, and then we find Ira, like the boy who played Amra, and yeah, it was clear when we found him that was him. And and it was also super interesting because he came from a town in the south of Mongolia, and the whole cast somehow, they all know, of course, about the circumstances there, but they got confronted in a way through the film with it, that they all became some kind of ambassadors to that problem now. So that was also very, very interesting. And one thing, it goes a bit beyond what you're asking, but that was the initial point for us of the whole shoot. Was we were ready to shoot in the region where we already had our main location, etc. And 3 days before the shoot, a New Zealand mining corporation bought the whole land to prohibit us from shooting. So 3 days before, we were 50 people on set, and 3 days before there came a letter, you're not allowed to shoot here. And so we went out to search for new main location, and we found this one that you see in the film, and it was owned by a nomad. And then we went to his yard, and in Mongolia you don't come there with money, you come with time. You know, you can't say, oh, here are $10,000, let us shoot there. You come there and you listen to his life story, and he told us that. And even though that our film was completely fictional, based on the reality there, but the characters were completely fictional, and we wrote it already 5 years before the shoot. And he told us his life story, and it had so much similarities to the story we tell with the film. And he said, of course, I give you my land to shoot that, because I don't, in 2 months, my yard will, like they will dig like 20 meters away from my yard. and I won't go away here. But I can't stay as a nomad anymore because everything will be destroyed around. And this like 3 days before the shoot was really like an impact for us to say, okay, we have to do it now. And that, yeah, was,
yeah, because it's encroaching right around you.
yeah.
Can you tell us about organizing the council meeting?
The council meeting.
People together.
Yeah, you know, this is even like nomads normally are really more, they are family business. So there's not so much interaction, but in these regions, once in a while, they have that. They have it once a year at the Nadam Festival, which is more like the Olympics of Mongolia. But they also have some of these council meetings, and there it's, yeah, you have hierarchy, some kind of hierarchy. On the one hand, dictated by the age of the people, and then it's really like that. I joined some of these sessions before at the other films already, and it's really, you're somewhere in the nowhere, and then you see some horses coming from the mountain there, and you see some lights from jeeps coming from the mountain there, and all of a sudden there are like 50 people in a don't know, 20 square meter yurt together,
Yeah.
and discussing all night, and yeah, so this council meeting is really something special for them as well, but it's really something that happens if major decisions have to be made.
Did you paint the Mercedes?
Paint?
Yeah, or did it come like that?
No, actually, like the Mercedes was part of the fictional story. So we invented that, and we actually also had 2 of these Mercedes there. But this all comes from somewhere, because like in my experience, Mongolians are the greatest talents in improvisation that I know. Like I remember a moment where our car broke down in the middle of the Gobi, and the vultures were already like circling, and our driver just had some Chinese glue and old shoe, and some alloy foil, and he fixed it in like 3 hours. And since like they can do everything out of anything. So this was the thing, and of course this was great then to tell the Mongolian set designers that they can create a car with a Mercedes star like they would do it. And this,
yeah, they did a really good job. Can you tell us a little bit about Davas' newest project?
The next project will be a very personal story. From her own experience now throughout the last years. I can't tell so much about that especially now on the recording, but I can.
Okay.
We have to cut that out. I tell you later.
Okay. I'm really personally interested in people that live in more than one culture. And I know that she definitely lives in 2 different cultures. I don't know about you, if you were born and raised in Germany, if you've lived in other cultures. Have you?
for me, like I've lived more than a year in Mongolia, so to say, and I'm also I lived for a long time once in a while because I worked as a tutor in Burma, in Myanmar, where now the coup was. So yeah, but most of the time I'm here, so not so
not so much. So it's not like you were raised in a different culture and then you're living in a different place like she was. She was raised in Mongolia, right?
Yeah, she was raised in Mongolia and she is now here since 24 years, I think.
Right, so she really does live between two cultures.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But this is really great. I can perhaps more tell it or respond to it from my perspective, how I learned from the Mongolians here in Germany, because like to like common friends of us from Gamba and me who also introduced us to each other. There were musicians, and they're these small things that we would never, like, we completely forgot about, that the essential thing is trust, and that you help each other, which is really the most important thing in nomad's life, because if you're lost in the steppe somewhere, you need help. And there was this moment where friends of mine who lived in Nuremberg, which is like 400 kilometers from Berlin, they wanted to travel back to Mongolia, and they came because the flight was from Berlin, and they came here, but they forgot their passports in Nuremberg. And it was Saturday to Sunday. Sunday morning was the flight. And I was really like, I was calling messengers, how much does it cost overnight express at the weekend? It was like 300 euros or something like that. And we couldn't afford this. And they said, don't worry. And a friend of them took the passport, went to the train station, asked someone if he would be so kind to take this passport with him to Berlin, and then call the number of me that we can pick it up at the train station. And it worked out. It was for free. And like 4 hours later, the passport was there. And, these are the small things that tell so much about like what we can learn, or what are the things that are completely different in the cultures. And yeah, this is just a short story that I remember about that.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for meeting with us, and I'll contact you and give you an idea of our audience's reaction to Veins of the World. It's playing in our Asian section of our festival, Asian Crossroads. And that's a really wonderful team that we have. And I'll let you know how it goes. And thank you very much for meeting with me. And please give our regards to the director.
I will do. Thanks a lot.
Maybe next time we'll meet.
Yeah, it would be great.